Hello, hello, welcome to Mindset to Results. Today we have amazing guest, Rich Chi. He is the author of the book Get Recharged Now, and he also is creator of the muscle release system. And we will speak today about very interesting topic. What fitness guru not telling you? Hi, Rich.
How you doing?
Great. Thank you so much for being guest on our podcast. And I am very, very excited to know about you and also about those secrets which you discovered through your journey, how to manage energy. And I'm looking forward to know more about you. Please let us a little bit about how everything happened, how you discovered these energies, flows, and how you can manage energy in your body. And let's go start from there.
Sure. To make a long story short, I, I was always health and fitness conscious. My brother got me involved in martial arts when I was like 8 years old, and um, I continued until I got a black belt in praying mantis kung fu, and then I was wrestling in high school, and then kickboxing, boxing, kickboxing, and then I was training for MMA. So I was always, just doing health and fitness, nonstop. And my brother got me involved in, he brought me to his adult kung fu class with just a bunch of guys, adults in Delaware Park in Buffalo, New York. And I was doing, at 8 years old, I was doing the whole workout routine that the adults were doing, 50 push-ups, 50 crunches, 50, squats, everything. And I remember I woke up the next morning and I couldn't get out of bed. I was 8 years old, but that was the first time I did like this full workout routine. But from that point on, I was kind of hooked to this, no pain, no gain, more is always better mentality. So again, I continued wrestling, boxing, kickboxing, and I was training for MMA. I was 220 pounds, all muscle, and I looked, like completely healthy and fit, right? When I went to, but I had no energy. So I felt horrible inside. So I would, periodically go to, all these different specialists and get all these tests done, and all the tests were always negative. They always said I was normal, and all the specialists, they always just kept saying like, "Oh, you're perfectly healthy and fit young man. What are you talking about?" So I was training for my next fight in my buddy's basement, and my heart rate shot up to like over 200. It wouldn't go back down. I got rushed to the hospital, and I almost died. So, you know, needless to say, I was a little shocked. It was a little scary, but when I got out, I said, "Okay, I must not be doing something right because how could I be so healthy and fit to all modern standards, but then be near death and, close to exhaustion at the same time? Like, it didn't make any sense. Like, how does that work? Obviously, something had to be missing. So I went and, like a lot of people, last resort, I tried like the holistic route. There's this holistic guy, herbologist I heard of somewhere way out in the country. So I went to him, and about 5 minutes of talking to me and looking at me, and he actually did a full assessment on me when I came back. Feeling my pulse and looking at my body, feeling my, palpating different parts of my body. He said, "Yeah, I think all your organs are starting to shut down." And again, I was a little shocked, but because all these specialists always told me I was completely normal and healthy and fit. But on the other hand, I said, well, wait a second. This is the first person who's acting like they have a clue what was wrong with me. So I just kept coming back to him, and after everything he told me to do, do this, eat differently, think differently, move differently. everything, I started to feel better. And I just looked around like, where was all this information, when I was struggling, having no energy for the last like 10 years, all as a teen, all the way up to like age 19. And so we started a health center and we helped just thousands of people by uh, showing people how to be healthy from the inside out and dealing with the energy in the body. So that's the short that's the short story. But so basically, I don't know, if everyone is familiar with it, but the body is full of energy, and I talk about it in my book, Get Recharged Now, because um it's the reason that we're alive. There's a difference between us and, like a rock. We have this energy, whether you want to call it chi, kundalini, or bioelectricity. The body is full of energy. And if you're not addressing the energy in your body, you're never going to really know how, you know, healthy and fit you really are. Um, you have to see where your energy is. You have to see, what is the condition of all your organ systems and all the circuits, and are they free flowing? Is there enough charge in them? Or do you have blockages in these circuits? And, do you have like, are you really deficient in energy? Um, and until you do that, you're not going to really know where you're at, wellness wise. So, um, I had a lot of different blockages in my body. Was very deficient in energy overall. But one of the things that I learned was you're only as strong as your weakest link. I'm sure you've heard of that, right? You know, so if you're overall, you're kind of okay, but your heart or your digestion is weak, you're never going to be able to be, to your potential and have as much energy as you can, and function optimally because there's like a break in the circuit, you have a blockage. So your body's never going to be able to produce the full amount of energy and you're never going to feel your best. So I had to address all these different little, uh, shorts in the circuits or, blockages. And then again, everything I started to do, I started to feel better and I started to have more energy and, you know, I don't really struggle anymore unless I stay up all night or do something stupid. But after, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 years of just doing, I call my holistic rehab, you know, got out of the hospital and then started doing all this holistic stuff, acupuncture, yoga, uh, breathing, meditation, eating vegetables for breakfast, thinking positively. I was sitting in meditation and my body just started to like shake and oscillate just like this. And it just like moved the energy in my body just moved around. It moved me like involuntarily into like different yoga positions and um like Tai Chi movements for like 4 hours. So I was kind of familiar with this concept because I've been doing yoga for a long time. But I came to find out later what it was called like a Kundalini awakening. So uh that was crazy because it still happens to this day. Anytime I relax and just allow it, energy just shoots up and down the spine. And I learned that there's the three major circuits in Ayurveda or yoga philosophy are the Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna, and they go up and down the spine. And if you think about the spine is electric, has all these, nerves, all our nerves going through the spine, the spinal cord. So when you have electricity going, in a certain direction, it creates an electromagnetic field and a force. So I was like, wow, the energy in the body is real. But that was the second time I felt, and realized that the energy in the body is real. The first time was laying on a table in acupuncture. And after, maybe 1 or 2 years, I started to feel, zoop, 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 zoop. I started to feel the chi or the electricity, shooting up and down my arms and legs. So that's the first time, I was really like, wow, this energy is real. The second time was the kundalini awakening experience. The third time, and the thing that really got me to write this book, because it was just so ridiculous, was I met uh, a master who there's people, like in the mountains, that literally spend their whole lives from like age 5 learning how to breathe correctly and to breathe in negative ions from the air, or AKA electrons, and store them in different battery centers in the body. And then after so long, they learn how to literally transfer this electricity through their hands. So this was an acupuncturist who can literally shoot electricity out of his hands, like some kind of superhero. And I have a video on my website that shows one of the most famous masters. He actually passed away about 10 years ago. But so I've been, you know, I was on a table and all of a sudden, takes the needles out and he starts, pushing all this electricity, bioelectricity through my body. And I was like, oh my God, felt like I was being tasered. So that was the third and the biggest awakening, moment where I realized, wow, this energy in the body is 100% real. Um, and it was just so amazing to learn from this guy. He's now retired. So I'm so fortunate that I met this guy because again, uh, the biggest, most well-known master, John Chang in the video that I put on my website, when he passed away, I thought, oh man, I'm never gonna get to learn from this guy. So so now my daily routine, involves um not just going to the gym and, doing cardio, 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 lift, 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 more weights, eat more protein. It's okay, making sure that the energy channels, the circuits in my body are open and, doing things to really feed that energy in the body. So deep breathing. And throughout the years, I created something called the muscle release system. So, if some of this sounds like a little, woo, crazy talk, okay, the electricity in the body, shooting electricity out of your hands. Um, it's such an easy system because what I learned is that the only thing we're ever taught to do for flexibility is to stretch, right? I mean, you probably stretched before. And you probably felt it feels pretty uncomfortable, like you're literally just like yanking on your body and it doesn't feel good. Um, so what I learned is that stretching really doesn't work because it's just yanking on muscles that are already tight. So it doesn't get the muscle to relax. So what you have to do is release muscle tension and decompress your spine. So I learned how to release muscle tension, which opens up all this circulation in your body. And what circulation translates to in, wellness is more blood, oxygen, nutrients, and energy flow throughout your whole body. So when you open up all this tension, so if you've only been, stretching or not stretching at all your whole life, you've built up 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, a whole lifetime of tension in the body. And you could see it. Like you ever see older people, what do they look like? They're just kind of like getting crunching down and getting tighter and hunching over. And so you can literally see that progression, but it just closes down all the circulation. It's like putting your blood vessels in between two bricks. The blood and oxygen and nutrients and everything can't flow as well. So when you open up this muscle tension in the body, you just get so much more circulation and you feel it. You feel more energy and you just feel better. You feel happier. So that's what I've been doing, now is helping people open up the energy flow in their bodies and just helping people. And it not only helps with circulation and overall energy and wellness. Um, there's people with like sciatica or back pain, and when you can release muscle tension, I've gotten rid of people's sciatic nerve pain in like 30 seconds at a health expo. Because, and this is people that have been working with all these different world-renowned practitioners, the type of practitioner that you go to when you have back pain or you have something like, wrong with your muscles or your joints, and nobody could help them. And after, 3 or 4 years or so, things got so bad they had to have surgery. But it's so opposite to what we're taught, but it's so simple because once you learn to release muscle tension, it just the whole everything goes back into alignment. So there's no more misalignment and your vertebrae are not crunching down on the intervertebral discs. So I've actually gained an inch over the years, doing yoga and doing this muscle release system. Um, but yeah, so that's a longer story. Um, but
Yeah, thank you so much, Richard. It's amazing what you shared. Yes, because you said you were so health conscious and doing so much sport, and then was like nearly died from over the stress. And yes, and it became the reason how you found, yes, found the other way, which works for you, and now you're helping people. So
yeah,
it's really a great experience you had. Would you like to share some with our audience, how maybe some practices that they can use to open those energy channels?
sure. So um, the biggest thing I would say is uh, I like to lay on the floor. And of course, only lay on the floor if you can. If your doctor told you don't lay on the floor or you can't because of blood pressure or you're pregnant or whatever, then don't. But if you lay on the floor, uh, on a pretty firm surface, doesn't have to be, like hardwood or marble floor, but you could have like a carpet or a yoga mat underneath you. Um, and most people, when they lay on the floor, when they do this yoga pose called Shavasana, they just lay flat with their legs straight. But if you bend your knees so that your feet aren't flat on the floor, like a triangle,
Mm-hmm.
and that kind of takes that curve out of your lower back so that your back can lay more flat and settle into the ground and just lay with your palms face up at your sides. And you put something underneath your head so that, if your chin's popping up towards the ceiling, you just put something up so that your chin is level with your forehead and just lay there and really just sink into the ground, um, and just start to relax. And you'll feel, after a few minutes, your body starting to go back into alignment and tight muscles that would release, or relax. The other one that I teach people a lot, and I put it in the book too, is just sitting in a chair with your knees parallel with your hips. So, your thighs are like perpendicular to the floor and sitting up straight and just bending forward and just leaning on your elbows on your thighs and just letting your head drop. And a lot of times, when I teach this in classes, um, I say, okay, let your head drop. And then I say, okay, let your head drop all the way. And then they drop it like, half, 50% more because we have like I said, we have a year, a lifetime full of muscle tension in our body and it becomes so tight, we don't even feel it.
Mhm.
So just sitting in a chair, leaning forward, I mean, you probably, maybe sat in this position before, but when you just lean your weight on your thighs, you can take all the take a lot of the pressure off your back. And you may hear a few cracks and as your spine starts to kind of decompress. Especially people out there who have stressful jobs or doing heavy lifting, the back just over time, it just becomes like this. And that's when you start to get back problems, pain, um, possibly needing surgery. Um, and it closes down a lot of our circulation through our spine and our energy circulation. And those nerves affect everything in the body. So, yeah, those are two things that you can really do to really just start to relax muscles in your body. That and deep breathing, you know, breathing is the major way that again, we literally take in electrons, negative ions, and this is all proven, like not just like theory. Like I put over 75 studies in the book. You take the electrons from the air and literally bring them into your body and create this bioelectricity. So those are a few things that I always tell people to get started.
Yeah, thank you. So interesting. Yeah, so tell us also about that energy. How did you practice that you can feel that energy in your palms?
So lot of breathing exercises, um, and also just a lifetime of working on um, building, you know, building my overall health and wellness up. And again, finding my weakest link. Because like I said, a lot of people, we focus on, oh, take this supplement or take this supplement or, eat this fad diet or do intermittent fasting or, you have to eat, this every day. But we ignore the fact that, what condition is your overall digestion in? Because we get energy from food. But if your digestion is not strong, you're not going to be able to get all the energy from your food. I mean, especially, I don't know if you've ever felt tired after you've eaten a meal.
Mhm.
That's a sign of, weak digestion. You shouldn't be, so either you ate too much or your body is just, their digestion is weak. And that's something that's really hard to test for in modern standards is, you go to a practitioner and they'll say, "Oh yeah, your digestion's fine," because you don't have any diarrhea or constipation. But again, it's how do you feel? How's your energy level? And there's different ways that you can tell with, these ancient healing models. There's different ways that you can kind of assess where your overall digestion really is. So improving and really eating pretty strictly. Um, of course, you can enjoy, chocolate and whatever in small doses, but really eating whole foods, and eating disciplined and boosting my digestion so I can really extract the full amount of energy from my food. And the other thing that I always teach people when I work with them as like a wellness coach is you have to cover the basics. Like there's so many people now, and it's just getting so crazy on social media. It's like, oh, you have to take an ice shower. Or you have to jump in this ice cold, this lake or this pool with ice cubes in it, and that's gonna solve all your problems. Just do this ice plunge every day. And it's like you're sleeping 4 hours a night. you're not eating, enough fruits and vegetables, but now you're going to try to jump in an ice bath and think that that's going to, you know, solve all your problems because that's what everybody's doing on social media. You have to cover the basics. I make the analogy, um, it's like you're driving a car, you got four flat tires, and you have no gas in the tank, but you're trying to like fiddle with the engine and make it run faster. It's like you're not going to go anywhere until you put air in your tires and put gas in the tank. You're not going to go anywhere. So and I call it the five pillars of the new wellness. You have to sleep well, you have to eat well and boost your digestion. You got to move, be physically active, but not move too much and not tighten up your body so much that you are closing down all your circuits. You have to be positive, and have good mind, emotions, and good relationships that aren't draining you. And you have to, pay attention to do things to open, build, and balance all your circuits in your body. So five different things that you have to do on a daily basis, or at least a weekly basis, if you want to really be able to generate, you know, energy and maintain energy in your body. Um, but a lot of breathing exercises, and I teach people a lot of different breathing exercises, from beginner to more advanced, and also just years of opening up the the blockages by doing, yoga and the muscle release system. Um, so like I'll give you an example. The first time I went to see the master, he shot me up with so much of, this chi in his body. I came home, I was buzzing. I was literally like buzzing. I felt like I was like uh I don't know, just like a electric Pokemon, like a superhero. And my vision cleared up like 100% because I've always wear glasses, But after a couple weeks, it kind of wore off because my body wasn't at the level that could sustain that energy. So it's almost like it's an amazing ability that I have now, training with these people, but you have to, like, I had to continually get healthier to the point where my body can sustain it and hold on to that energy. So building up your health is like number one. You can't just go from like, okay, I'm at halfway, health wise to, building and holding on to this electricity in your body. So it's a process. It's a long process but it's worth it because the question I always ask people is if you don't have your health, what do you have?
Mm.
Literally nothing. It's the only thing that allows us to have anything in this lifetime. So there's really nothing better to invest in than yourself. Like I spent a lot of money doing all this stuff and traveling the world, but it's worth it because if it gets me, if I feel better and if it gets me more years to do what I love and spend with my friends and family and more quality out of my years, I mean, you can't put a price tag on that. So I'll do it all
Yes.
over again.
Mhm. Yes, thank you so much, Liz, for sharing. If we speak about eating well, as you said, sleeping well, so can you tell a little bit more what means eating well, sleeping well? Is it hours or it is certain hours? For example, go to bed early and waking up earlier. So how is that?
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys have ever heard this phrase, this little saying, but early to bed and early to rise
Mhm.
makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. There's no saying that says go to bed late and feel great. It doesn't exist. So it's true. You want to go to bed as pretty much as early as you can. I talk about the exact time in the book, but there's, the body does a million different things overnight to recharge your energy, and it can't do that if you're awake during that time. So uh, definitely before midnight. You don't want to be staying up anywhere close to midnight or after. I mean, if you have a job that you're working certain hours of the night, you just got to do the best you can. But if you can, you should not be up close to midnight. And as far as how much, um, most of the recommendations today, at least in the West, in the US, say like 7 to 8 hours a night. And I would tend to agree with that. Um, if you're not hitting 7 to 8 hours every night, again, and you're trying to do all this stuff like ice baths and, what is this? NAD now is the big one now, or hydrogen, chug hydrogen water. 15 years ago, it was alkaline water. Now it's hydrogen water. They're using the same machine to make the hydrogen water instead. And it's like you could try to do everything in the world, but if you don't sleep enough, I mean, you're not going to feel 100%. I mean, I'm sure you and everybody watching this knows if you could eat the perfect diet, do the perfect workout, have a stress-free day on the beach, but if you only slept 2 hours last night, you're not going to feel 100%. You're just not. So 7 to 8 hours, go to bed early, well before midnight, and it's also quality of sleep, which could be a whole nother episode because if you wake up tired, you go to bed early, you don't, your stomach's not full, you didn't just eat dinner right before you went to sleep, and you wake up and you're still tired, it means there's something wrong with your sleep because you should not be waking up tired. That's the point of sleep is to recharge you. So your body's not recharging when you sleep. So there's all these different things. And a lot of it has to do with diet.
Very interesting. Yes, like connection diet with sleep. So if people have insomnia or have very surface sleep when they just can awake very easily with any noise, so do you have any recommendations how they can improve their sleep?
So I always say sleep starts as soon as you wake up, or good sleep starts as soon as you wake up. So if you don't do a lot of physical activity throughout your day, I call it like, you know how you have this concept of like sleep debt?
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't sleep enough every night and you accumulate like this debt, this sleep debt. I call it like an activity debt. So where you just didn't move enough, you didn't get your heart rate up enough in the day, so your body is just it's not gonna sleep as well as it can. So sometimes if I can't sleep, I wake up and I'm like, oh, I didn't really move that much today. I was, unfortunately I was too so busy. So I'll get up and, do some squats or do some jumping jacks or walk around instead of just laying there like, why can I sleep? Why can I sleep? Why can I sleep? And move around and get a little tired and then go back to sleep. But ideally you want to do that during the day and not in the middle of the night. But if you're waking up in the middle of the night, it could be a million different things, which is why again I say you have to assess all the different organ systems in your body and make sure they're all boosted, optimal performance of all your organ uh in your circuits so that things are working together well and your body can sleep. But um on the other spectrum, not moving enough, sometimes we tighten up our bodies, and again, we tighten up our back so much. Like I don't work out, I don't lift weights that much, but I do it every week just to, keep my muscles strong and, keep my joints strong and my bones strong. But when I do like a really heavy workout, sometimes it tightens up my back so much, I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'll feel it. You may not notice it because, again, a lot of us, we can't feel the tension in our bodies because we're so used to it. It's been like this, lifetime accumulation of tension in the body. So that's our baseline. Like you just that's the way you feel. Like so, but I can feel it because I open up my body so much. I feel like a sponge, and then I'll do all this heavy workout and and I wake up in the middle. So it could be tension, but it could be sleep apnea. Um, so eating a lot of fatty or greasy food or oily food, eating a lot of sugar, or eating a lot of like all this processed food, all these flour products like crackers, cereal, and all these things can stuff up your sinuses. And if your sinuses are stuffed up, um, you're just not you're not able to breathe very well, and that'll wake you up in the middle of the night. So you really have to clean up your diet. And but one recommendation is to make sure you're not like 100% flat when you sleep. Just tilt the head of the bed up, a little bit so that your body can breathe. Once you clear up 100%, you can lay flat. But if your sinuses aren't 100% clear, you you want to be up a little bit. Your head your head is higher than your feet. But that could be another episode, but it's sleep. There's so many things that affect your sleep. Again, you have to do all the right things during the day so that your body can sleep.
Yeah, great. So we can record another episode about sleep.
Yeah.
So yeah, so let's speak a little bit about diet. You said good diet, vegetables for breakfast. This is not what we are taught usually. Yes, as you mentioned, usually children are motivated and encouraged to eat cereals for
Ugh.
breakfast. Yes, and there is all the industry, so many different cereals. So could you please explain that why it is not good to have for breakfast and what is the best?
Yeah. Um so I am a dietitian by trade, so that's something that I work with, a lot with people. But so the basics are, quality and quantity. Like you have to eat the right foods and then you have to eat it in the right amounts. And then I guess third, you also have to eat at the right times. You don't want to eat right before you go to bed. And you don't want to eat when you're already full and when maybe you just woke up and you're not hungry at all. Um, and then fourth factor would be like you want to make sure your digestion is strong so that you can utilize all those nutrients you just ate. So as far as what to eat, whole grains, brown rice, whole grain wheat, I like to eat sprouted bread, whole grain sprouted bread, um, brown rice, quinoa, buckwheat, things like this. Um, Fruits and vegetables, and easy on the fruit. Fruit is great, but just pounding fruit all day, it's a lot of sugar. So you have to take it easy on the fruit. So whole grains, fruits and vegetables, beans, peas, and lentils. These beans are full of fiber, and most people in the US, at least, like almost the whole country doesn't get enough fiber. Like the statistics are like 75 or more percent. We don't get enough the recommended fiber a day. And then lean protein. So you don't want to be having like tons of fat, greasy or oily, cuts of meat or dairy products. And then healthy fats. So nuts, seeds, um, avocados, olive oil in small amounts. So that's like whole foods, unprocessed as much as possible. And then, yeah, for breakfast, it's just another meal. So your body doesn't, there's no rule that you have to have cereal for breakfast. Like your body doesn't have that rule. That's just like a societal rule or an
Mhm.
industry rule. Um, so I would do things like, I love smoothies. I have a smoothie in the morning that it boosts my energy more than any supplement that I ever like. I've been trying supplements for 20 years, as I owned a health center. I've I've tried them all with all the reps, the supplement reps that come into my office, and nothing boosts my energy more than a smoothie, yogurt and fruit and a few other things. Um, but basically like you want to take something quick like frozen green peas, and heat them up and put a little butter on them. Um, that would be light years beyond cereal. Or instead of, cereal, like if everyone says, "Oh, I don't have time in the morning, it's super quick." How long does it take to toast a slice of whole grain bread? Like a minute, maybe, depending on how your toaster works. And you put a little butter or olive oil or avocado on there. You can even put a little jelly on there. It'll still have 10 times less sugar than your cereal does, probably.
Mhm.
Um, and I like steamed broccoli. I feel like at least here in the US, that's a vegetable that they serve a lot for breakfast, at fancy breakfast places. Um, so, but yeah, eating the right things, drinking enough water, but not diluting your whole life with water. Um, and yeah, so what I would have, I started out having a lot was a breakfast soup with like organic, low sodium chicken broth, some green peas, or, whatever vegetable, and some beans. Um, and, especially when it's cold out, eating hot food and drinking, not, of course, not too hot that it burns you, but eating warmer food and liquids really helps maintain your body temperature, and it helps build your energy, and it also helps improve your digestion. And the way that I've proven that, with modern science is we have these things called digestive enzymes, right?
Mhm.
I don't know if you learned in school, but without these digestive enzymes, it would take like a year to digest one meal. So we need to have, good enzymes and optimal functioning of the enzymes. Um, and they work at an ideal temperature, which is like body temperature. So a lot of times what people do is we like to drink cold ice water, right?
Mhm.
Or, have cereal with freezing cold milk, especially in the middle of winter. It's literally extinguishing our digestive enzymes. So a lot of times we don't get complete digestion. Um, and it causes something called dampness in the body, which a lot of like Chinese medicine talks about a lot, which you never hear about in modern, social media or all these, wellness gurus, is you have to get rid of dampness in the body. So staying away from a lot of sugar and staying away from cold things.
Mhm.
But again,
Yeah.
another episode on diet because there's
Yeah.
so much with it.
Yes, yes, that would be great. Okay. Yes, so really so much information, and really you're so knowledgeable, and I'm very impressed with your experience and knowledge and passion what you do. So thank you so much for being amazing guest today, and we definitely will have another episodes, one about
Yeah.
and one about sleep. And tell us, please, how people can find more about you, what you do. Maybe you do online classes, or maybe they have can access to your programs or book. Of course, we will put all information in the description under this video.
Sure, sure. So, main way to get a hold of me is my website, getrechargednow.com. Um, and I'm on all social media uh, at Rich Chi. So last name Chi, Chi, which means energy. Uh,
Mhm.
so Rich Chi Wellness. Instagram is the most popular one, and then TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook. So
Yeah,
if you want to email me, there's a contact me page, or you could send me a message on social media.
yeah, great. So we will put all your links in the description below this episode. And of course, I'm sure so many people would like to contact you and know more about what you do and how you manage those energies and how you help people to be healthy.
That's what it's all about. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to have you again for our new episodes.
All right.